All right, guys. We are live. We're starting early. We got a lot to go over. I'm going to start with some Prince. Raspberry Beret. This is one of my favorite songs. Definitely one of my favorite videos. I love it when she hands him the guitar. She looks at him like, "Here you go, my lord." I wish I had a fucking girl to look at me and hand me my guitar when I start playing. Hell yeah! I love it when they all start dancing together. Oh, it's so awesome. It's such an awesome video. Yeah. And Prince is just so badass.
I was working part-time in a five and dime. My boss was Mr. McGee. He told me several times that he didn't like my kind, 'cause I was a bit too leisurely. It seemed that I was busy doing something close to nothing, but different than the day before. That's when I saw her. I saw her. She walked into the outdoor. She wore a raspberry beret, the kind you find in a second-hand store. Raspberry beret.
I'm doing the dance and everything. For real.
I think I love her. Built like she was, she had the nerve to ask me if I planned to do her any harm. So look here, I put her on the back of my bike and we went riding down by old man Johnson's farm. I said, now overcast
Rest in
days
peace.
never turn me on.
Rest in
Something
peace,
about
Prince.
the clouds and her mixed.
You know, when I was a kid,
Wasn't too bright.
I used to complain about how much I
She
hated
kissed
Prince.
me. She knew how to get a kiss.
And this old guy that I used to work at the symphony with, he was like the top salesman there. I was the number two, of course. He told me, he said, you're just too young. Wait till you get older. And he was right. He was right about a lot of things. He told me that I was a conservative. I was like, no, I'm not. Yeah, I kind of am. I'm a conservative liberal. I don't even know if that makes sense. We got a great show for you today. We got a lot to go over, guys. U.S. troops are on the ground in China or Taiwan. Or it depends on who you ask. Yes. While we are ramping up our aircraft carrier presence in the Indo-Pacific, yes, we have sent half of our aircraft carriers to China. Yeah, things are ramping up quickly. Ramping up quickly. No one's talking about it. I am. We've got riots at the border. With some people calling for Texas Border Patrol to shoot illegal immigrants. What's going on, y'all? It's me, SpaysE McG, your favorite cartoon, your favorite cartoon nerd with the dude. You fucking spooked me, Uzi. Now I read your comment that I was dancing like Dylan. No. I actually know how to dance. I spent about 5 years high on ecstasy and Special K dancing at raves. Yeah, no, I can pop lock. And do liquid. Actually, I call it the liquid pop. It's very beautiful. Very beautiful. Nothing like fucking silly dilly. All right, yeah. Guys, so we have the press secretary. She's going to be coming out. But we have a great crowd starting to form out here. Who do we got? I got Girl Gone Dog. I got Be Happy. What's up, B? Charlotte Sometimes. What's going on, Charlotte? I'm glad you made it. We got Usi. Usi Kivi, I guess is how you say it. I don't know. I'm not fucking finished. Hey, I did think of something. Hey, Usi. You know how you win? Do you know how you know what you have to do to win? You have to cross the finish line. I just thought you might get a kick out of that. You Indians and your rain dancing. I thought you'd get a kick out of that, Uzi. The only way to win is to cross the finish line. All right. Now, all right, we got a lot of news to get into, so we're just gonna do that. All right, so we're waiting on the press secretary. She's always fashionably late. Charlotte's chilling like Bob Dylan. That's good. She's always fashionably late because, you know, punctuality is a tool of white supremacy, and it's racist. It is racist of you to expect a black gay woman to be on time, okay? It's just racist, okay? And you're a bigoted white supremacist if you think that you can get a black woman to show up on time. Now, but that's okay, because we have actual real news to go over. We're going to start here. House passes $1.2 trillion spending bill. All 100 senators will need to greenlight a vote to pass the bill before the midnight deadline. If that doesn't happen, the government would be forced into a partial shutdown on Saturday morning. President Joe Biden has called on Congress to pass it quickly and said he'll sign the bill. This hasn't been a perfect process, but we should never let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Never let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Nazis wouldn't put up with being late. No, they wouldn't. Nor would a responsible government. Now, the bill released early Thursday funds the Department of Homeland Security, State Labor Defense, Health and Human Services, and various other agencies together. With the $459 billion bill passed earlier this month, it fully funds the federal government to the tune of, we're just going to call it $1.7 trillion. 1.7 trill. Right? Yeah. Hey, what's up, Felix, baby? I'm glad you're here, buddy. Glad you are here. Now, after this bill was passed, Marjorie Taylor Greene files a motion to ouster Mike Johnson as the House passes $1.2 trillion spending package. Marjorie Taylor Greene initiated the process to oust House Speaker Mike Johnson as the U.S. House of the U.S. House of Representatives. There we go. Narrowly passes a bill to avoid a government shutdown, despite the objection of conservatives like the Georgia Republican who support former President Donald Trump. Ms. Greene filed a motion to vacate the Speaker as the House was still voting on the spending agreement. A 2/3 majority was reached to pass the spending package. 286 voted in favor, and 134 voted against. This is a betrayal of Republican voters, Ms. Greene told reporters on Friday. The bill forced Republicans to choose between funding to pay our soldiers and, in doing so, funding late-term abortion. Well, that's no good. Late-term abortion. This bill is basically a dream and a wish list for Democrats and for the White House. Yeah. So I don't know how that's going to go down. I don't think that they're going to get rid of Mike Johnson. They might, but I don't think that this is going to go anywhere. Mike Johnson has had too many House Democrats support him. And, yeah. So he only needs part of the Republican caucus even to support him. Yeah, let's see here. Bankers were for life. Okay. Oh, it only funds it until September. Oh, thank you for that. Okay, now. Okay, with that out of the way, we're going to get into the real news here, guys. And here we go. Taiwan confirms U.S. troops have landed on Chinese claimed territory. That's true. This is true. We have some people pushing back against this story, but it's absolutely true. Things may be heating up around the Strait of Taiwan as China continues to rattle its saber over the island nation, and now the U.S. has stepped up its presence in the area. We've never actually had boots on the ground in China before. So this shit is not good. Hey, what's up, Gino, baby? Oh, I should put out a call on my Twitter X. Hold on. Yeah, I'll put out the Twitter X thing. Maybe more people will show up. Not that I don't like you, but I always like more people. Because this is important stuff, and no one talks about it. No one's talking about this right now. Hey, what's up, Steve? We got R&R Steve and Gino up in the house. All right. Things may be heating up around the Strait of Taiwan as China continues to rattle its saber over the island nation. And now the U.S. has stepped up its presence in the area. Taiwan has now acknowledged that it is hosting U.S. troops on some of its outlying islands, a fact that is sure to infuriate the Chinese who claim Taiwan and all of its surrounded islands. The country's defense minister, some fucking Chinese name, would not offer many details on the U.S. troops, but did note that the presence is among the islands around Kinmen, 3 miles off the coast of the Chinese coastal city Xiamen, according to the Wall Street Journal. This exchange is for mutual observation to identify the problems we have, figure out how to improve, and to recognize their strengths so we can learn from them, Chu told the media on Thursday. Chu added that his government works with militaries of several nations because Taiwan may have some blind spots of shortcomings in its defense. The presence of U.S. troops was first reported by the online publication SoftRep, the WSJ, Wall Street Journal added. Our commitment to Taiwan is rock solid and contributes to the maintenance of peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait and within the region, the officer said. Naturally, China claimed that the incident was an assault on Chinese citizens and called the deaths. What is this? Okay. Kinmen has already been the focus of tensions between Taiwan and China since 2 Chinese fishermen died after their boat capsized while being pursued by the Taiwanese Coast Guard. Naturally, China claimed that the incident was an assault on Chinese citizens and called the deaths a vicious incident. The Chinese government used the incident to step up its own patrols in the area. The Kinmen troop deployment is only the latest after the Pentagon reported that U.S. troops have been deployed to Taiwan to train the country's troops. China's Communist Party has never controlled Taiwan, but the Chinese government claims ownership of the island chain and has been warning the U.S. that it eventually intends to take control of Taiwan, whether the country claims to be autonomous or not. Taiwan President Tsai Ing-wen, he's sighing, guys. He's sighing. When? When is he sighing? Now. Said, adding, not as many as people thought. Oh, wait, no. Okay, we have a wide range of cooperation with the U.S. aiming at increasing our defense capability, Tsai said, adding, not as many as people thought. Newsweek noted that at least 30 U.S. military personnel have been helping to train Taiwanese troops. Naturally, China denounced the U.S. president. We firmly oppose official exchanges and military contact of any kind between the United States and the Taiwan region, said Chinese Foreign Minister spokesperson Wang Wenbin. When did he bin? Wang. Okay, Usi says, China's going to infect U.S. troops with something, or they're going to use some kind of ultra-wave weapon on them, like they did to U.S. Embassy in Cuba. I'm pretty sure we were all up in Hong Kong. I don't know. China is such an asshole. Why poke China? Is that another Chinese ambassador? Why poke? Why poke when? Why poke China? Oh, guys, this is just the start of it. I have more news about this. Okay. Here we go. U.S. deploys 5 aircraft carriers to Indo-Pacific, affirming its strategic focus amid global tensions. As of February 14th, 3 U.S. carriers are already operating in the Western Pacific Ocean, with 2 more on the way. Their arrival will mark the first time that 5 of the 11-strong carrier contingent have operated in the region. So it looks like they're expecting something to pop off in Taiwan at any time. We have half of our aircraft carriers in that one region. That's not good. That's not good. Now, the USS Abraham Lincoln, part of the U.S. Navy's Pacific Fleet, was spotted heading out of its home port in San Diego, California, and was sailing towards the Western Pacific as of February 5th, according to the U.S. Naval Institute's Fleet and Marine Tracker. The USS George Washington will also join to substitute the USS Ronald Reagan as it heads to Puget Sound Naval Shipyard in Washington for maintenance. Yeah, maintenance. They're probably going to upgrade its weapons capability. The USS Ronald Reagan is probably being outfitted with laser weaponry, right? Just like the USS Gerald Ford was recently outfitted with weaponry, with laser weaponry. The USS Carl Vinson and USS Theodore Roosevelt were stationed in Guam and Hawaii and are expected to stay in the Western Pacific until April and July. Last month, the Theodore Roosevelt and Carl Vinson strike groups took part in a multi-large deck event with Japan in the Philippine Sea that included enhanced maritime communications operations. Now, we know that was a show of force coordinated between Japan, the Philippines, and the United States because China is escalating tensions with the Philippines. Where's the USS Donald Trump? They probably won't build that for another 20 years. History will ultimately be kind to Donald Trump, is my opinion. They will be talking about Donald Trump for 100 years, at least. At least. Let's see here. Okay. Let's see here. Feels like another out of control. It feels like another fire out of control in cities to rebuild, as history shows. What's going on? Chinese communists are poisoning the whole world, biologically and socially, says Uzi. I agree, Uzi. That's absolutely true. Now, so if you're just joining us, U.S. troops on the ground in a China-claimed territory, right? U.S. deploys half of its aircraft carriers into the region. This is all just happening, guys. This 5 hours ago, okay? Now, all of this comes to fruition as U.S. military discloses its final test of Lockheed Martin's supersonic or hypersonic weapon called the Arrow. Boots and boats. China never attacks anyone. They have enough problems. Yeah, that's kind of true. China invaded Tibet. And invaded India, and has actually in recent months been skirmishing with India on its border. Now, the U.S. Air Force has conducted the final test of an air-launched hypersonic weapon developed by Lockheed Martin. Now, we've talked about this test being forthcoming, and here it was. So they did test it. A B-52 Stratofortress. Oh, that sounds awesome. Stratofortress. It sounds like something that... The Strato Forces sounds like something... Fortress sounds like something that you would get in a video game. But no, it's real. A B-52H Stratofortress conducted the test of the all-up-round AGM-183A air-launched rapid response weapon, or Arrow for short. The test acquired unique data and was intended to further a range of hypersonic programs, an Air Force spokesperson said. We also validated and improved our evaluation capabilities for continued development of advanced hypersonic systems. Lockheed Martin said it can quickly deliver additional hypersonic strike assets that can be rapidly deployed to the U.S. military. Now, the Arrow program was canceled last year after multiple failed tests. The Air Force planned to finish the final pending all-up round tests, but it didn't seek funding to procure or develop arrows in its 2025 budget request. The Hypersonic Attack Cruise Missile, HACM, is now the Air Force's only hypersonic weapon program. RTX and Northrop Grumman are developing the weapon. U.S. efforts in developing hypersonic weapons lag those of Russia, which fired such missiles at targets in Ukraine and China. China, which is said to have conducted tests, Beijing denied this. North Korea claimed it tested a solid fuel engine for its intermediate range hypersonic missile. Yeah. So even with these tests, now, they didn't confirm that it was a successful test. They just said that they tested it. So we don't know what actually happened. Hey, what's up, Jokerfish? The Fender Strato Fortress. No. The B-52H Strato Fortress is, I believe it's a partially stealth vehicle. I believe it's partially stealth. It's a new type of bomber. You're right, Holy Harlot. Having the weapons doesn't help us defend against them. You're absolutely right. But it does give us a deterrent in our arsenal, right? Because now we can launch a hypersonic nuke attack on our enemies just as quickly as they can launch one against us. So it does deter our enemies who are thinking about using those weapons on us. It does level the playing field a little bit if they work. Okay, yeah. So, okay, now with that, we're going to go to this. Fact check. Did NATO chief tell people to stock up supplies for World War III? We're just going to skip to the bottom. Fact check, true. NATO did tell people to stock up supplies for World War III. Bob Bauer, chair of the NATO Military Committee, said in January that NATO members and its societies should coordinate and prepare if conflict broke out, potentially with Russia or terrorist groups. Bauer made suggestions of the kinds of preparations civilians could make, such as having a supply of water, a torch, and a radio at home. A torch means flashlight, by the way. It was not a mandate nor an exhaustive list of supplies, and the notion or descriptor World War was not mentioned in the context of the conversation. Right? So, fact check true, guys. NATO is now telling people to stock up on supplies in the event that World War III begins tomorrow. That is true. So, Uzi, you better have 30 days of water and food in your house. Yeah. Okay, yeah, because I hate to tell you, buddy, Finland is on the list of countries that Russia wants to take. Just saying. Always has been, always will be. Now, this is what's going on at the southern border right now. Okay? So things have pretty much gone to shit, and we're about to see it. Here we go. Now watch. The migrants break through and they knock all these guards over. Here we go. Look, they're fighting them. And boom, they knock them over as they rush the border. Imagine being those military personnel. It's terrifying. This video is the near future, indeed. I don't know, Gino. Lucy says Russia could try, but our border doesn't leak like yours does. Yeah, look at all those women and children. Texas National Guard faces calls to shoot migrants after being overpowered, guys. So it's come to this. We always knew it would, and here it is. The Texas National Guard is being encouraged by some social media users to be more violent in response to immigrants attempting to enter the United States illegally. Illegal immigration has risen under President Joe Biden's watch and continues to divide communities around the country, notably border states and cities with sanctuary status. Videos taken Thursday on the U.S.-Mexican border in El Paso, Texas, showed a throng of migrants. A throng. It was a throng. Throng to throng, throng, throng. Let me see that throng to throng, throng, throng. Shows a throng of migrants described by one on-scene reporter as hundreds of individuals of different nationalities. Different nationalities. Some of them, I'm sure, Chinese. Some of them probably Pakistani and or Afghani. Probably Palestinians. Probably jihadis in that group. Now, of different nationalities causing a riot and using force to try to overpower soldiers. Yeah, that's what we get. That's what we get for going easy on them, right? They attack our people. The incident occurred simultaneously as Texas waits and sees if it can enforce its own immigration laws, including arrests and deportation, through legislation known as SB 4, Senate Bill 4. The legislation previously approved by state lawmakers continues to be litigated in appeals courts and as high as the U.S. Supreme Court. Yeah, the Supreme Court has already given them the go-ahead. Or at least, my understanding is the Supreme Court said it doesn't violate federal law, right? And then knocked it back to lower courts. Total border crossings exceeded 988,900 individuals between October and December. Guys, October, November, December. 1 million people in 3 months. Right? At that rate, the 3 years of Biden's administration averages out to 10 million people. I'm sorry, 12 million people. A school of Latins. It's like a murder of crows. A horde. Yeah, I know, right? Uzi, imagine being those soldiers left between the fence and yeah, I agree. Scary. Newsweek reached out to the Texas Department of Public Safety and other officials via email for comment. The Texas National Guard and Department of Public Safety quickly regained control and are redoubling the razor wire barriers. Yeah, that didn't stop them the first time. Hey, what's up, Phantom Iconic? Captain Crappy loves his toys. Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson, a Louisiana Republican, described the scene as chilling. Yeah, you don't say. Mexican photojournalist J. Omar Ornelas, who lives on the northern border of Latin America, posted a different angled video on X of the scene in El Paso, showing migrants reportedly from Africa, Central America, Colombia, and Venezuela breaching the concertina wire to get to the larger border wall. Charlie Kirk, founder and president of the conservative organization Turning Point USA, wrote on X that having a national border means individuals have to protect it. Ultimately, having a border means being willing to have armed men at the border willing to use force to stop those attempting to cross it. Kirk wrote, if you aren't willing to do that, then your border is fake. Yeah, no shit. No shit. In fact, the only thing our border is good for is processing illegal immigrants through the country faster, right? Our border has gone from a barrier to a waypoint, right? Right? Now, I know people are like, oh, Space, I thought you liked the immigrants. I do like the immigrants, okay? I do. I think they're good people mostly, right? What I don't like is jihadis getting in, Chinese spies getting in, and generally people crossing it without authorization, right? While I think the border is a mess, yes, I think that one of the solutions to the border is allowing more people to enter the country legally. Oh, yeah. Crappy has great fucking puppets. It's pretty funny. He's pretty funny when he goes into his altars. Yeah, it's funny shit. That's hilarious. Now, Ron DeSantis is back in the news with some based-ass ballsy shit. DeSantis says he's going to send any Haitian immigrants to Martha's Vineyard. Now, if you guys remember, last year, Ron DeSantis sent a group of immigrants to Martha's Vineyard, and although they had signs up everywhere saying this is a sanctuary city and no human being is illegal, right? They sent all the migrants away within 48 hours. Within 48 hours, they deported all the migrants off their island and sent them back to the mainland. Oh, let's see here. That movie with Justin Timberlake with Time on Arms and Borders is an interesting flick. Yeah, that movie's called In Time. That movie is called In Time. That is a great movie. That's actually one of my favorite movies that have come out in the last 20 years. Oh, we got Cringe. Yeah, that's a great movie, Felix. Oh, we got Peter Ducey in the front row. Right here. We've got our sign language transsexual with her receding hairline, her Adam's apple, and her giant hands. We expect the first black immigrant woman, the first black gay immigrant to come out here and lie to us momentarily. Don't expect them to talk anything about escalating hostilities with China. I don't expect them to say anything about that. What I do expect her to do is cite the Hatch Act, tell us that she's been the most transparent person in history. Blame Donald Trump. She's going to blame Donald Trump. She's going to praise the House for passing their $1.2 trillion pork bill.
Good afternoon, everyone. So wanted to
And
just
she
start
literally
off
comes out looking like a
at the
clown.
top.
Oh my God. Can we just talk about her outfit for a second? Did you guys ever see Back to the Future 3? She looks like Marty McFly pretending to be a cowboy. She looks like Howdy Doody. Oh my my God. Oh my God, she has such horrible fashion sense. And you guys remember when Kayleigh McEnany used to be the press secretary? She would come out wearing like $1,000 like custom made Ralph Lauren dresses and shit. This bitch is coming out straight up looking like a blackjack dealer. Cobra Command. Yes. She looks like Cobra Commander. Oh, who said that? Uzi, you fucking win, brother. You win. All right. Let's hear what the Cobra Commander has to say.
That we just heard, obviously all of us just heard the terrible news. Our thoughts are with the Duchess of Cambridge and her family members and friends during this incredibly difficult time.
What the fuck happened? Hold on. The Duchess of Cambridge? Who the fuck is that? Is that Meghan Markle? What the fuck happened? Oh, shit. It's worse than we thought. Catherine, Princess of Wales, has cancer. The princess described the news as a huge shock and asked for time, space, and privacy in a pretty recorded video broadcast on the BBC Friday evening. Oh, that's sad. It's funny, but it's sad. I don't like to hear about beautiful princesses having cancer. Even if she's a lizard person, I don't care. She's a beautiful princess. Also, reptile cancer. Yes, she is very pretty. And it's very sad. It's just a sad story. Uzi prayed for this. Okay, all right, back to the thing.
And certainly we wish...
You guys remember I said there was something going on. I said that she probably did have a procedure and it probably didn't go well. But I didn't realize that it was cancer. We'll read about it later.
Her a full recovery, and I think it's important.
So now that's the king and the princess that both have cancer after the queen just died of cancer.
Important that we respect
Jabbed.
their privacy
Oh, yeah.
at this time.
Oh, yeah. Oh, isn't that funny? Yeah, that's a good point. These people were at the forefront telling everyone to take all the boosters and all the shots, and now they all have cancer. Funny how that happens. Isn't it funny how everything works out? I guess the joke was always on me.
So I'm not going to go further than that. I will do one more
Try to
thing
laugh
before I
about
go.
it now, but
I
ain't
know
it
folks are
funny
gonna
how
ask if,
everything turns
the president
out?
has spoken to her or the family. I can just say right now that we don't have anything to share at this time. But obviously we wish the Duchess of Cambridge a full recovery, and we are incredibly sad to hear of the news.
I thought she was the Princess of Wales. Who is this Duchess of Cambridge? I don't know how everything works over there. But I was told that she was the Princess of the Wales.
Send her a note.
I don't have anything to share at this time. This news just broke.
Some die
obviously,
suddenly,
so
some
we
get
are
turbo
taking this
cancer.
in,
Indeed, Steve.
this terrible news, as all of you are, and so just don't have anything to share. We want to make sure that we certainly respect their privacy at this incredibly difficult time, not just for her, but her family. So I'll just leave it there.
Did the palace give the White House any kinds of a heads up?
I would just say we learn just like all of you, and we want to be incredibly respectful to their privacy. So I have a couple of things at the top. Obviously, we have a
No, she's still the princess, as far as I know. It said in the article that we just read, it said Princess of Wales.
a guest, the Admiral's here today to talk about a couple of things in the Middle East and more broadly. So tomorrow marks 15 years since Affordable Care Act became the law of the land. President Biden believes that health care is
but
a
it's
right,
still sad that
not
a beautiful
privilege.
princess
And
is
since
going to die of
taking
cancer.
office, he's been focused on
I mean, she probably has it coming. I know that she's evil and that she's a lizard person and all those things. But she's also very beautiful, and she's also a princess.
actions to lower health care and prescription drug costs and expand access to coverage. So ahead of this historic milestone, I want to go over some key statistics, which I think is incredibly important. Under President Biden, more Americans have health insurance than under any president.
I don't know.
A record-breaking 21 million
alive. She's
Americans
not
signed
dead
up
yet.
for health coverage this year, with a majority of shoppers able to find coverage for less than $10 a month. Americans are
Cambridge.
saving on average $800 a year on
Cambridge,
premiums.
Cambridge, I
4
don't give a
states have
fuck.
expanded Medicaid since the president took office, and millions have benefited from ACA's critical
Yeah, we'll
protections,
read the article
which
later,
have
guys.
prevented
I know
people
we're all
from being
wondering about the
denied
princess,
coverage
but
for
we'll read
pre-existing
about it later. We
conditions
gotta
or being
focus on what's
charged
going
with
on.
more for being a woman.
Cobra Commander is here to tell us the news, guys. Come on.
President Biden is not resting on these accomplishments. He has a bold agenda to continue to bring down Americans' health care costs. He's calling on Congress to make
demoted
expanded
her for catching
Affordable
cancer.
Care Act tax credits permanent.
I don't think that's how
so
it
Americans
works,
can
but
continue
maybe.
to save on premiums after decades of failed attempts and without a single Republican vote
Bad
in
princess.
Congress. President
Bad
Biden
princess
beat
catching
Big Pharma by
cancer.
passing the Inflation Reduction Act.
You're now a
Already
duchess.
the law is lowering prescription drug prices. Now, President Biden wants to expand the amount of drugs that Medicare can negotiate lower prices for to at least 50 drugs per year. And he wants to expand the $35 a month cap on insulin and the $2,000 out-of-pocket cap on drug spending to everyone. Despite all of this, Republican officials are still
you're just
working
joining
to
us,
end the Affordable
Princess
Care Act,
Kate has cancer.
repeal the Inflation Reduction Act, and gut Medicaid. In fact, congressional Republicans have attempted to repeal the Affordable Care Act over 50 times, including during the last administration with the
Bring
support
down health
of
care,
the president's
period.
predecessor. President Biden has been clear he will never let that happen.
Exactly, Felix.
And he will never stop working to protect and strengthen the Affordable Care Act, Medicare, and Medicaid. Speaking of health care, this week, Republican Study Committee, which represent 100% of House Republican leadership and 80% of their conference, released its budget. Now, you've heard the president say this. His father has an expression that goes, "Don't tell me what you value. Show me your budget."
Oh my God, I don't need you up here repeating the president's fucking anecdotes, okay? We all know that Joe Biden tells the same stories over and over and over again. And now you're telling them. Who cares?
And I will tell you what you value. So let's look at what House Republicans actually value. First, their budget endorses a national abortion ban with no exceptions for rape or incest. It puts IVF treatment on the chopping block through House Republicans' support for the Life at Conception Act. The president believes we must restore the right to choose and protect other freedoms, not take them away. The Republican Study Committee budget.
Yeah, they want to protect your freedoms to kill babies. Right? To kill babies and be censored by the government on social media. They want to protect your freedom to be disarmed, right? By the government. They want to protect your freedom to have your elections stolen from you every time. Now, they want to protect your freedom to have fucking ballot harvesters fucking terrorize nursing home patients and force them to sign ballots in the name of Democrats, right? That's your freedom in this
Budget
country.
would make devastating cuts to Medicare, Social Security, and the Affordable Care Act. Increase, it's dropping down. Can you guys hear me? Yeah. I was on a roll. All right. But I want to make sure you hear me. All right, so the Republican Study Committee budget would make devastating cuts to Medicare, Social Security, and the Affordable Care Act, increase housing and prescription drug costs for families, give more huge tax cuts to the wealthy and the biggest corporations. Put simply, their budget lays out a dark future for America.
And your budget gives subsidies to the world's richest people and gives no bid contracts to Democrat voters, or donors, I mean.
This is about our visions for the future, whose side we
migrants.
are on. President Biden is on the side of the American people. He believes in giving the middle class a fair shot, protecting Social Security and Medicare, and securing Americans' rights
We're
and
being
freedoms.
laughed at
He
all
will
over the
never
world,
stop
actually.
fighting for that future. Is there still an issue? I hear some rumbling. We're all good? Okay, great. And then next, before I turn it over, I wanted to turn to the latest from Capitol Hill. The House of Representatives just voted to pass the funding bill to keep the government open, invest in the American people, and strengthen our economy and national security. The Senate should pass it as quickly as possible. To be clear, this bill is a compromise reached by congressional appropriators, so no side got everything it wanted, but it expands access to child care, Head Start, invests in cancer research, funds addiction prevention programs, and advances American leadership abroad. It also provides resources to secure the border that Republicans opposed. We fought hard for additional resources and were successful in preventing Republicans from severely underfunding DHS. But it's not enough. Republicans have blocked our multiple requests in increased border funding and the bipartisan border security agreement.
That's
Congress should
because you
pass
guys
that
want
agreement to give border
the border
personnel
you guys are
the
talking
policies
about
and
securing
funding
is the
needed
Ukrainian
to secure the border. The House must also
And there's money for late-term abortions in this package.
pass the bipartisan national security supplemental to advance our national security interests. And I do have one last thing. Turning to the president's schedule and upcoming visit, we recently announced that on April 15th, the president will welcome Prime Minister Soudani of Iraq to the White House to coordinate on common priorities and reinforce the strong bilateral partnership between.
They are arming border jumpers as we speak. I had an article on it, but I threw it aside. We'll probably come back tonight and do more news.
The United States and Iraq. The leaders will reaffirm their commitment to strategic framework agreement and deepen their shared vision for a secure, sovereign, and prosperous Iraq, fully integrated into the border region. President Biden and Prime Minister Soudani will consult on a range of issues during the visit, including our shared commitment to the lasting defeat of ISIS, an evolution of the military mission nearly 10 years after forming the successful global coalition to defeat ISIS. They will also discuss ongoing Iraqi financial reforms to promote economic development and progress towards Iraqis' energy independence and modernization. And I do have something about the week ahead. On Tuesday, March 26th, the President and the Vice President will travel to Raleigh, North Carolina. We will have more to share soon, but you'll hear the President and the Vice President highlight how they are fighting for all Americans and their vision for the future. So we look forward to seeing you on the road. With that, Admiral John Kirby is here.
I wish somebody was fighting for the little guy. Unfortunately, they're only fighting for migrants and Ukrainians. And apparently Taiwan.
To give us an update, discuss Ukraine and the Middle East, and the President's morning call with President-elect Indonesia. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you, Karine. I'm going to thank you in advance for your patience. So I do have a few things I'm going to try to get through here. Let me put my cheaters on.
A lot of trans.
First, before I go through what I prepared to talk about, obviously we've all seen the...
Oh, he's got his pink tie on. That's his calling card, letting everybody know that he's ready to get pounded in the ass.
reports in the video coming out of Moscow.
Rear Admiral Kirby. Always swabbing your poop deck with his tongue. All right, let's go.
This violent shooting at looks like a shopping mall.
Oh, there was like a violent terrorist attack in Russia. I didn't know that, but apparently that's what he just said. I believe I warned you about that last week, that it was going to go, that the U.S. State Department was warning of violent terror attacks inside of Russia. I'm guessing that they are our people, that we funded, trained, and instigated these violent terrorist attacks. Public mass shootings in Russia. Huh. Makes you wonder how many of these public mass shootings are instigated, trained, and funded by our intelligence agency, if they're being carried out exactly the way that they are being carried out in Russia. This is all speculation. I have no proof of this.
Speak much to the details of it. I mean, this was all just breaking before
I
came on
right.
out here.
Yeah.
So we're trying to get more information, but really would refer to Russian authorities to speak to it. The images are just horrible and just hard to watch, and our thoughts obviously are going to be with the victims of this terrible, terrible shooting attack. And I think, you look at that video if you have, and you got to recognize that there's some moms and dads and brothers and sisters and sons and daughters that haven't gotten the news yet. And this is going to be a tough day.
Yeah, it is funny how they knew it would happen.
You might have also seen, hopefully you saw the State Department or embassy there.
It's not like ha-ha funny. It's like, yeah. Funny how they knew that would happen. Yeah. Just like it's funny how they knew that China and Iran would hack our water treatment facilities. And what back doors they would use. Almost like the Iranians were exploiting back doors that were put there by us. But I don't have any proof of that.
Put out a notice to all Americans in Moscow to avoid any large gathering, concerts, obviously shopping malls, anything like that, just for their own safety. They should stay put where they are and stay plugged into the State Department for any additional updates and information. I'm afraid that's really all I have on that. Now, in Ukraine, today Russia launched a massive wave of missiles and Iranian-made drones against Ukraine's cities and civilian infrastructure, which Ukraine reports is the largest series of airstrikes that Russia has launched against Ukraine's energy grid since the start of this war. Ukrainian officials say that at least 10 different regions of their country were struck, leaving more than 1 million homes without electricity. Our hearts go out to all the families of those civilians who were killed, and we're praying for a quick recovery for those who are wounded by these attacks. They demonstrate once again, the attacks do, how vital it is that we continue to provide Ukraine with air defense systems and capabilities, interceptor missiles, the tools that they need to protect themselves and their infrastructure. Mr. Putin's not waiting. He's not sitting on his hands. He's making lethal use of every single minute available to him while our own Congress refuses to act. He's not wavering, neither should we. The House of Representatives must pass the National Security Supplemental as soon as possible.
We will not falter. We will not waver.
This vital equipment. And as we've seen in just the last couple of days, every single day the House delays is another day that the Ukrainians have to pay for it with their own blood. Now, also today, the United States put forward a resolution at the UN Security Council that supported ongoing diplomatic efforts aimed at securing an immediate ceasefire in Gaza as part of a hostage deal. Notably, the resolution condemned Hamas for the October 7th attacks, which we believe is long overdue, blaming Hamas, condemning Hamas.
No one's ever blamed Hamas
confirming that Hamas engaged in conflict-related sexual violence. This was a balanced, timely text, and it is in line with our long-standing calls for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza over a period of at least 6 weeks as part of a hostage deal.
It's funny.
Nothing new there. The vast majority of the Council voted in favor of the resolution, some 11 other nations. Unfortunately,
it's hilarious. It's hilarious how us demanding a ceasefire in Gaza is conflated with bringing retribution to Hamas. Us not killing Hamas is how we'll fight Hamas, guys. The best way to fight Hamas is by ending hostilities towards Hamas. You can't make this shit up. But apparently Kirby can.
Russia and China vetoed it. That was hardly a surprise. They'd rather shoot down something that we authored simply because we authored it, rather than consider the strength of what it called for, with overwhelming council support. And what did it call for? An immediate ceasefire.
Yeah, I agree.
All hostages
Putin
released.
is not as bad
More
as they
aid
make him
getting
out to
in
be.
the
Yes,
people of
I
Gaza.
agree.
And Hamas condemned for the slaughter of innocent Israelis. It's difficult to look at that text and find what's objectionable about it, except the fact that the United States is the one that authored it and put it forward. Now, if I could switch to Mexico and some sanctions. On efforts to counter illicit fentanyl, part of President Biden's unity agenda efforts to save lives by stemming the
Why
flow
don't
of
you talk
illicit
about the
trafficking
American
of drugs.
troops on the ground?
Treasury
in China?
Department today sanctioned 15
Well, according to China,
Sinaloa
it's
cartel members and 6 businesses operating in Mexico that are engaged in the trafficking of these deadly drugs. Now, these people are involved in what's known as a black market peso exchange. It's a scheme to launder illicit fentanyl proceeds for the Sinaloa cartel. And the cartel, if you don't know, if you're not tracking, is one of the most violent drug trafficking organizations in the world, responsible for a significant portion of the illicit fentanyl and other deadly drugs trafficked into the United States. Today's sanctions were possible thanks to ongoing U.S. law enforcement collaboration and strong partnership with the government of Mexico, with which we coordinated closely and for which we are grateful. And finally, President Biden spoke earlier today with President-elect Prabowo Subianto of Indonesia to congratulate him on his election victory. President Biden pledged to expand cooperation with Indonesia under the U.S.-Indonesia Comprehensive Strategic Partnership
That's on our
and the
news
Indo-Pacific
topics.
Economic Framework, and to work together towards an Indo-Pacific that is free,
Yeah,
open,
Israel's going to
prosperous,
bomb
and
Rafah
secure.
whether or not they tell him to
That-
ceasefire or
Take
not.
some questions.
Nothing that anyone
you for
can
your
do
patience.
about
Thanks,
it.
appreciate it. On Monday, Jay Sullivan stood here and said that a major military operation from the Israelis into Rafah would be a mistake. That was after a phone call with President Biden and Prime Minister Netanyahu. Of course, today we saw Secretary of State Blinken say that, warn again even more about a military operation into Rafah, and yet we saw Netanyahu say that they are prepared to do it alone. So are we to
You're
understand that
just
President
joining
Biden has
us.
just lost all of his sway here?
I would also
Princess
note that
Kate
Prime Minister
mystery has
Netanyahu
been
said he
solved.
recognizes there's a debate about
If you're just joining us, Princess Kate has cancer. All right. I'm just bringing that up because that's been a topic. The last show, I said something funny was going on. It was probably going to turn out to be medical, and it was. She has cancer.
Rafah. I would also note that the Israeli government will be sending a delegation here in coming days to talk to us from in an interagency perspective about some viable options and alternatives to a major ground operation. President and Prime Minister Netanyahu just spoke a few days ago, and they will speak again, no question about it.
Well, I'm glad.
We've
I
not
hope
shied
you
away
get
from
all your
expressing our
things
concerns
fixed
to them,
on your
and they have not
new car,
refused to
Mama.
listen. And there have been examples in the past, I've gone through it from the podium, where they have actually taken on board the advice and counsel we
Too bad we can't fix princesses like we fix cars. Oh, that's sad. That's sad. Cherish your life while you have it.
provided.
So you're convinced that you have some reason to believe that you can still convince them to change course?
We are going to share with them our lessons, our perspectives.
Oh my God, he's using this same recycled bullshit. We're there to give him, we're going to share our perspective and our lessons that we learned by indiscriminately bombing Iraqis and Afghanis.
We're going to share with
Fuck
them some
this guy.
alternatives about how they can eliminate the threat of Hamas in Gaza, particularly in the Rafah area, without conducting a major ground offensive. As you heard Secretary Blinken say today, we still believe that a major ground offensive is a mistake.
Well, that's because you're an idiot.
While he was on the ground, Netanyahu still said again that
The only mistake is not fucking bombing these fuckers into the ground 20 years ago.
they are prepared to do it alone. If you guys have a disagreement this big, is that grounds to consider withholding military aid?
They're coming here, hopefully next week, it looks like, to have a discussion
Tim, I'm
about
glad
viable
you're here.
options. Why don't we have that discussion, see where that takes us before we leap to conclusions? I would add a couple of things. Yes, we saw what the Prime Minister said, and he should speak to his comments to his to the Israeli people. That's for him to talk to. But we haven't seen him go into Rafah, have we? They haven't conducted a major ground offensive
Holy
yet.
shit, that's
so
a
we
nice
believe
car.
there's still still time and space
Gold mining must be lucrative.
to have these discussions and to share with them what we've learned.
Did you buy it with gold? Did you buy it with your gold money?
No, go ahead. No, I'm just saying we don't have
This meeting next week a success, John, between the United States and Israel?
We're not putting benchmarks on it, Steve. We're looking forward to the opportunity to have a delegation here from Israel to share some of our thinking about viable alternatives, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Netanyahu comes to speak to Congress, did the president take
The only viable alternative to bombing them into the ground is 40 years of wandering in the desert. I'm just going to say it again. It worked for the Jews.
the opportunity to meet with him while he's here?
I couldn't answer that question since we don't have a visit by Prime Minister Netanyahu to speak to. I would just note that these two guys have known each other a long
it's
time.
dog grooming money.
And they're speaking
Okay, that's
frequently.
good too.
Israeli Defense Minister Gallant is scheduled to go to the Pentagon on Tuesday. Has that broader meeting with the other officials, has a date been set for it yet?
We'll have more to share in coming days about what the schedule is going to look like, but we expect that the meeting will take place next week.
Does the president feel that he...
Let me just add, it'll be that delegation that meeting about Rafah is a separate meeting than the defense minister's meeting with Secretary Austin, which was long scheduled.
And does the president feel that he does have tools in his toolbox to perhaps exercise harder leverage against Israel if they do move forward with going into Rafah?
We're going to continue to approach this with Israel as we have in the past, which is to make sure that they have the tools they need to defend themselves against a still viable
They're
threat. while
still
at the same
acting like
time
the president is in
using the
charge.
strength of the relationship between the United States and Israel. And yes, the strength of the relationship between the Prime Minister and the President to continue to urge them to minimize civilian casualties, to allow more humanitarian assistance to get in. And
Well, I have a solution, Felix. Let's send them into the Sinai desert so they can wander around for 40 years, hopefully find God and learn about morality and how to be good people.
And this is getting, we haven't once talked about in this press conference today about the hostage deal, to move forward on that hostage deal, which again, we think those talks are making progress.
Can you talk a little bit about how much progress? I mean, Secretary of State Antony Blinken yesterday said gaps are narrowing. Do you think that it's close?
We do believe that we're getting closer. I couldn't give you a date certain on
weather
the
is
calendar,
nice, well,
but
that's good.
that the discussions are still happening, and that they are happening at the pace at which they are, and with the participation that we're seeing on all sides, it's a good sign. And again, I don't want to get too sanguine here. Nothing's negotiated till it's all negotiated, but we do believe that the gaps are narrowing and we are getting closer.
Can you speak to the phrasing of the UN resolution that the U.S. proposed? That it says that the Security Council would determine the imperative of an immediate and sustained ceasefire. Why not just call for a ceasefire directly? Why phrase it like it has?
I don't want you to read too much into the vernacular here. What we called for in this resolution is perfectly in keeping with what we've been saying now for weeks. We want to see an immediate ceasefire so that a hostage deal can take place. You got to have a cessation of hostilities to get hostages out and to be able to get aid in. And what we're looking for, and it's in the resolution, is for
The hostages are dead. Everyone knows that. I don't know why they're pretending like they're not dead. The hostages are dead. They've been dead in January. In January, we reported that the guy in Hamas who's in charge of the hostages has no idea where they're at and assumes that they are dead. The hostages are dead, guys. They're dead.
a period of about 6 weeks.
Yep, just a clarification. Do you have any details you can share about who will actually be in this meeting with the Israeli delegation when they come? Who on the U.S. side, who on the
We'll have
other?
more details. We'll have more details in coming days.
Thank you. On Venezuela, do you have a reaction to the arrest that happened this week of two people close to Maria Corina Machado?
Yeah.
I hope your
how
dog
does
gets
this affect the
better
calculation of the United States to reimpose sanctions in April? Is it still possible to have free elections in Venezuela?
We're deeply concerned by these reports of these arrests. What I would say on sanctions relief is we're still willing to consider sanctions relief on the Maduro regime. And
The U.S. needs a hostage for a reason to be involved. Indeed. And we also have to keep up the charade that the hostages are still alive. That way, the pro-jihadis can push, will have leverage over the American public in order to push for a ceasefire, right? So the pro-jihadi wing of the Democrat Party, which is pretty much all of them, they need this facade of hostages as a reason to negotiate a ceasefire. But we all know those hostages are dead.
In Venezuela, if they meet the obligations that they made in the fall in Barbados. And reports of arrests like this certainly give us pause.
Yeah. Hey, look, the tranny took her wig off.
Pause to think about how serious they are about meeting those commitments.
Has there been any conversations with them recently?
I would refer you to the State Department.
what's up,
I'm not aware of any conversations from the National Security Council, but you should talk to the State Department.
Thank you. Thanks, John. Can you talk about, in a practical sense, what it means that the U.S. thinks it's a mistake for Israel to go into Rafah with a ground offensive? Will you halt aid and weapons?
Yeah, I think I just got...
No, that'll never happen because grifters gotta grift, and there's no bigger grifter than the military-industrial complex.
The same question. I'm not going to get it. No.
Answer.
Well, you didn't. There was an answer. Maybe you didn't find it satisfactory, but that's okay. What we're talking about here is making it clear to the Israelis our deep concerns about any ground offensive into Rafah. There's 1.5 million people there, and it's not a big space. They've got to be accounted for. Their safety and security has got to be protected. And we believe that a major ground offensive.
It looks
is
like
we
the
believe that it will
tranny
be, as
looks
I've
like
said
Anton
many
LaVey.
times, and you've heard from other officials, a disaster. Certainly for those 1.5 million refugees in Rafah. And so we want to present to the Israelis some viable alternatives and options about how they could go after the legitimate threat of Hamas there in Rafah without sacrificing.
I'm sure they do
safety
get
and
tried,
security.
Lucy.
Is it a mistake, or is it a violation of the national security memo that would in turn result in the halt?
That lady is hot as shit.
I believe the State Department has already talked about that. The Israelis have submitted their
What an adorable
their
little commie
letter in
sympathizer.
keeping with the national security memo, and Secretary of State has
They don't call them honeypots for nothing.
determined that the information they provided was credible and was reliable.
And just one more quick one, because you've said so many times from this podium, John, you've said repeatedly, the U.S. is not going to tell Israel how to conduct its military operation. So if you're willing to do it now, why not before?
We're not doing it now.
You're not telling them not to do something with
Well, that's not what
regard
this
to...
meeting's about. We're not.
That's not what it's
we're gonna lay out
about.
terms.
How
It's a
dare you
sovereign
call me out
country.
on my hypocrisy?
And they have their own military, and they have their own operations to conduct. They have to make those decisions. But as a friend of Israel,
How dare
and
you
an
call
ally,
me a hypocrite?
as before today and next week, we want to make sure that they make those decisions fully informed with our lessons learned from urban warfare and this kind of fighting in places like Iraq and Afghanistan. Now, do they have to listen to our advice and counsel? No. But we have seen in the past where they have taken some of it on board. We hope they take this on board.
Thank you.
Thanks, Karine. Hey, John, there's a report that the U.S. is urging Ukraine to stop attacks on Russia's energy infrastructure out of fear that it's going to drive up oil prices. Can you confirm those conversations are happening?
I'm not going to speak to the specifics in that press reporting. The only thing.
See, how can Ukraine ever win this war when we're telling them not to hit their main fucking source of income? We're telling them not to hit targets inside of Russia, right? This war is about attrition. It's about blowing up old weaponry and selling them for top dollar, right? Killing as many people as possible, right? And draining resources so that the Boeing and Lockheed Martin and all them can get richer. So that Nikki Haley can get another story on her house.
The thing I would tell you is what I've said before. We do not encourage or enable the Ukrainian military to conduct strikes inside Russia.
Are you concerned about this at all, that these attacks are happening against our energy infrastructure?
We do not encourage or enable Ukraine to strike inside Russia.
John, do you have any updates on the U.S. involvement when
don't
it
know what
comes
that
to
means.
Haiti? And also, what are the conversations, if any, about changing
Does that mean I like to bang
or
Asian women?
fixing
Then yes.
immigration status when it comes to Haitians who cannot file for asylum in the country as it's been overtaken by gangs, which is considered a coordinated militia, and they come here?
On your second question, I'd refer you, April, to the State Department to speak to the particular policies on asylum seekers. But can you repeat your first question, because I'm not sure I totally understood it.
Do you have an update on U.S. involvement when it comes to Haiti?
Update on U.S.
Look, what do you know? The only person dumb enough to wear a mask still in the whole place. The only fucking dumb fucking mask wearing bitch. Ugh.
Involvement. So I think I would say
the reason he couldn't understand your question, you dumb cunt, is because you have a mask on in a press conference.
Involvement when it comes to Haiti.
Update on U.S. involvement. So I think I would say, look, our lines of effort are really kind of three things right now. One is working with the Haitians on a Haitian-led political transition process, and that presidential council, that transitional council is up and running, and hopefully we'll see some movement here in coming days about their selection of individuals for governance in Haiti that can be credible and can meet the aspirations of the Haitian people. Number two, we're working with Kenya on a Kenyan-led multinational security support mission, which would not include U.S. Troops on the ground as part of that mission, but we are working with Kenyans on what that could look like, what support they might need externally from the United States. And then thirdly, and this is clearly we're doing what we can to help those Americans who want to leave.
Oh, thank God for
get
Kenya.
out safely.
The brave Kenyans are coming to save our ass.
And there were some additional helicopter movements today, as a matter of fact.
Thank you. So question, did the U.S. have prior knowledge of this attack in Moscow, given that the U.S. Embassy had issued warning beforehand?
I'm not aware of any advanced knowledge that we had of this terrible attack.
On March 8th, the embassy warns of imminent attack in Moscow by extremists.
Yeah, I think that I'll let the State Department speak to that, but I don't think that was related to this specific attack.
Just a couple more. Go ahead.
John, today the Vice President said that she had seen the plans and that there was no credible way to allow for the relocation.
She said she looked at a map. She saw maps of Gaza.
And said that there was no credible way to relocate those who are sheltering there. Was it ever feasible?
As I've said from the podium myself, 1.5 million people in a very confined space, that is a tall
1.5 million terrorists.
Tall order for any military
Jihadis.
to find a place
Jihadi
for that many people
guys,
to go,
never forget.
where they can be safe and secure, where
No
they can have
innocent
access to
Gazans.
medical care, food, water. That's a tall order for any military. And I think the Vice President is speaking plainly and candidly about the scope and the scale of that kind of a challenge.
For weeks, though, the U.S. was saying the only way they would support a ground invasion in Rafah was if there was a credible plan to relocate those civilians.
That's
so
correct.
the position now is that's not possible.
Who is a civilian? Right? When your enemy is the civilian population, right? Or jihadis, right? How do you know who's a jihadi and who's just a crazy Muslim? You don't know.
Was it ever possible?
We have not seen such a credible plan. And one of the things that we want to talk about with this Israeli delegation next week is exactly that. I mean, we're getting focused on the ground offensive, but the other thing we want to talk to them about is the humanitarian situation there in Rafah.
Should we expect the president to be a part of this meeting next week, or you would not expect that with the Israeli delegation?
We'll have more details about participation in coming days.
All right, Danny, and then Brian.
Thanks, Karine. Thanks, Admiral. On the attack on Moscow, I know you're still gathering information, but do you have any sense whether this could be linked at all to the conflict in Ukraine?
There is no indication at this time that Ukraine or Ukrainians were involved in this shooting. But again, this just broke. We're taking a look.
Oh yeah, it definitely wasn't Ukrainians. It was CIA assets.
look at it, but I would disabuse you at this early hour of any connection to Ukraine.
A quick follow-up and then a question. Well, first question. Sorry, John. Is there? Can you explain the difference between the veto that was offered by China and Russia to a peace in the Middle East ceasefire and the one that we offered in February? What's the difference?
Ours was based on substance. Ours was based on the actual content in the resolution, which just called for an immediate ceasefire, no condemnation of Hamas, no connection to getting the hostages out, nothing in there about humanitarian assistance. We support an immediate ceasefire, but as our resolution said, in connection with a hostage deal that gets those people home, gets more aid in, and actually for the first time at the Security Council, condemns Hamas for what they did on the 7th of October. Our objections and our vetoes were based on substance and content. The objections and the vetoes today by Russia and China were simply based on politics. Because we authored it, it had to be bad.
Wait, real quick, to follow up on Russia, is there any indication, there's been speculation, that it shows with the protest that was brought up with Alexei's death, that there is some pattern of instability now in the Russian regime? Would you confirm that, or do you think it's too early to say that?
I think it's difficult with the news today to make some broader point about instability in Moscow or in Russia. Clearly, there are people in Moscow and in Russia that object to the way Mr. Putin is governing the country. But I don't think we're at this early hour we can make a link between the shopping mall attack and political motivations. I think we need more time and we need to learn more information.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend, everybody.
Yes, if you're just joining us, the U.S. CIA has funded a terrorist attack inside of Russia. Princess Kate is dying of cancer. U.S. boots are on the ground in Taiwan as we are sending half of our 8 aircraft carriers to the region. Shit's about to get real, but nobody's talking about any of that. Let's go.
Great weekend. Thanks, Admiral. All right, Chris, what you got?
So the spending votes today, it's been difficult occasionally for the White House to reach durable spending agreements with House Republicans. What's your response to the motion to vacate that was filed against Speaker Johnson and the future of those kinds of negotiations?
Look, we've always been very clear. We are not going to get in the middle of what's going on in the House leadership. That's not going to be our focus. The president has been very clear. He's going to continue to focus on the American people. You saw him in Arizona where he made a really important CHIPS announcement on semiconductors, going to create 30,000 jobs in Arizona, good-paying union jobs.
She's a fucking lying, cheating cunt.
$8.5 billion commitment that's going to actually, with Intel, that's going to actually spur more investment into this country on manufacturing investment, doing more semiconductors right here in the U.S. And so that's what the president wants to focus on, creating jobs, actually investing in America. You saw him go through 3 states in 2 days to talk about how he sees this vision for
my
this
ex-wife.
country. He has been also very clear. Look, there are a couple of things that are on the floor of the House,
my
right?
ex-wife.
Or one of them is should be on the floor of the House, which is the National Security Supplemental. We know it would get overwhelming support. We need to see them move forward on it. You just heard from my colleague from NSC how important that for Ukraine to have the funding that they need or have the assistance, security assistance that they need to continue to defend themselves. So we want to see that go through. And there's the bipartisan agreement that came out of the Senate, Republicans and Democrats coming together to try and deal with what's going at the border. We're just not going to speak to what's going on with the leadership. I guess get your popcorn, sit tight, watch what's happening.
And what's the risk if the Senate does not immediately move on the spending legislation and potential for partial whatever shutdown?
I mean, look, there is still time to prevent a partial shutdown. The House passed the funding bill, as you all know, and the Senate still has time to pass it today, and there's no reason for it to not move forward. This is not about this president, it's not about the White House, it's about the American people. We've always said that. This is about programs that American families need, and so we should be able to avoid a partial shutdown. It is possible to do so, and so we want to see the Senate move quickly on this.
Thanks. Has the president seen that dramatic video of migrants surging past National Guardsmen in Texas?
I mean, look, I have not spoken to the president about that video.
Because she'll distract me from doing my show.
What I can say is this. I really truly believe that's a question for, the Republican governor of Texas, right? This is something that he should address, that he should actually speak to. The president has worked with Congress in the Senate, as I just spoke to, about getting an immigration bill done, making sure
she calls me and then I don't answer
we deal
her.
with the border challenges that we see, that we're now seeing, and you have a governor of Texas who has continued to politicize this. I do want to say we are grateful for the Border Patrol's quick work to get the situation under control and apprehend the migrants, so that's important. But congressional Republicans need to move on this. What they're doing instead, and this is the bipartisan agreement, obviously, is listening to the former president, President Trump, tell them not to get involved in moving forward with this bipartisan agreement because of his own personal politics, because it will help.
I said that in the beginning of the show that she would blame Donald Trump. And here she is, blaming Donald Trump. What do you know? Well, she's so predictable. Now, all she has to do is cite the Hatch Act, right? She's already said that they're the most transparent administration. So we're just waiting for a Hatch Act, and we've got bingo.
Help this president. You all reported that. It's not coming from us. You all reported that. And
you all reported the things that we said and told you to report.
It is unfortunate that Congress, Republicans, are not getting on board with what majority of Americans care about. And you have a governor in Texas, Governor Abbott, who is continuing to make this sadly a dangerous situation.
Everyone else has.
Situation. Let's not forget who they pass by to pass by the razor wires. They pass by the Texas National Guards that the Republican governor put at the border.
Are you saying that Americans should just expect that there will continue to be a standoff between the National Guardsmen and the border agents? What is the resolution?
There shouldn't. The resolution is pushing forward with the bipartisan agreement that came out of the Senate with Republicans and Democrats. That's the solution.
But with all due respect, it doesn't seem like it.
Yeah, but that's not working. And the Supreme Court has granted Texas the right to defend its own border, right? So yeah, things are about to get spicy.
It's going anywhere.
It's not. There's no all due respect. You are asking me a question. I am telling you the solution. The solution is for Congress to move forward and Republicans to get out of the way or get involved. Get involved. Republicans in the Senate got involved with the Democrats, got involved with us as well for a couple of months to come up with this bipartisan agreement. An agreement that was supported by the Border Patrol Union, an agreement that was supported by the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, that if it is put into effect, it does become law. If they give the president the opportunity to sign this bill, it would be the toughest and the fairest legislation or law that we have seen in some time to
Yeah, that we've seen in some time since Donald Trump was in charge and he had the Remain in Mexico policy, which gave us the lowest immigration numbers in my lifetime. Only 100 and something thousand people came across the border in 2019. Just saying.
Deal with the border. I mean, honestly, this is a question for the governor of Texas. Seriously, that question is for, he's the one who, the razor wire, that's him. The National Guards, that's him. The Border Patrol agents still did their job, even though it was, they got in the way. Like the governor's plans got in the way.
It sounds like right now the White House and the president, the administration is not considering anything else to stop future events like that. Right now the blame is the Texas governor and Congress.
You have a governor
Yeah, the president is literally banking on these immigrants coming across the border. We have lots of news about that.
Who has politicized this issue. Fact. That is just fact. He's politicized this issue. You have a former president who has said to Congress, Republicans in Congress, do not move forward with a bipartisan agreement that was agreed upon by senators because it helps us. It helps Joe Biden. When we're not thinking about helping Joe Biden, we're thinking about helping the American people. Majority of the American people want us to do something on this issue. And Republicans are allowing the former president to get in the way. So we've done the work. We have.
By done the work, we've punted it over to Congress, and we've rescinded, by doing the work, she means we've rescinded all the policies that worked because they came from evil orange man, right? Racist evil orange man, right? And now we're punting the responsibility onto Congress so that we can blame them for not getting anything done, when in fact, Joe Biden could end all this right now by returning to the Trump-era policies, mainly remain in Mexico.
We've done the work. And we need more. Yes, we were able to secure more funding for DHS with this budget deal, but we need more resources. We do.
And she dresses terribly too, Uzi. Look at her. As you pointed out, she looks like Cobra Commander.
And so there is an agreement. There is an agreement that took 2 months to get to. I don't know. It's up to them. They have to answer that question.
But on that same issue, today Governor Ron DeSantis said that he's also looking at implementing a law in Texas that would allow Florida to arrest migrants as soon as they cross the Florida border. Are you concerned that other governors will be looking into kind of stricter immigration laws like this?
I'm concerned about the politics that's being played here instead of dealing with the issue. Instead of...
Yeah, so are we. We're concerned about the politics being played here too. A, you guys are letting mass migration come across the border in order to boost Democrat-controlled shitholes so that they can retain their Senate or their congressional seats, even though there's a mass exodus from those places. You are rescinding policies that work in favor of policies that don't work. You're calling border security you're saying funding for border security when in reality what you mean is funding for more Border Patrol agents to process and release more immigrants into the country faster.
Governor in Florida saying, hey, my senators in my state, we need to work on the issue at hand here. There is a bipartisan agreement that is in your chamber, right, that is in the Senate, that was agreed upon in a bipartisan way. Can you guys move forward with that instead of playing politics? That's what we want to see. We want to see an issue actually.
Yeah, everyone's playing politics but us, and it's all Donald Trump's fault.
Actually dealt with, that majority of Americans
It's all Trump's fault!
There is I cannot say this enough. There is a bipartisan agreement that came out of the Senate. Republicans were asked to reject it because of the former president, because of helping his own politics. That's not how we should be moving forward as a country. That is just not, and that's not what the president believes.
Thank you. So on this border video, what does President Biden think should happen to adult men who are assaulting and overpowering U.S. National Guardsmen?
Well, let me just first say we're grateful, and I said this moments ago, to Border Patrol agents for their to quickly work and get the situation under control and apprehend the migrants. So I want to be really clear that everyone who was apprehended by Border Patrol. They were able to do their job, even though it's made it more. Even though Republican governor, in particular Governor Abbott, has made it difficult for them. They need more resources. We need more personnel. I mean, we have to have the backs of our law enforcement on the ground who are dealing with this every day. But Republicans are getting in the way. Republicans in Congress do not want to help. And you have a Governor Abbott, who's politicizing it. That is what's happening. Border Patrol agents did their job. even though, the governor's getting in the way of them doing their jobs.
But I get that you guys, you talk so much about having a more humane immigration.
When she says Border Patrol agents are doing their job, what she means is the Border Patrol agents are processing and releasing immigrants into the country faster than they're coming in.
Immigration system. This video
That's
does
what
not
she
show
means by doing their
helpless
job.
women and children begging for a safe place to come in. It shows adult men landing haymakers on U.S. troops in uniform. If that was happening anywhere else in the world, wouldn't President Biden send reinforcements?
So 2 things. Everyone was apprehended by the Border Patrol agents. That is important to note. They were apprehended.
They need more stampers.
They were apprehended. Yes. I can't speak to individual cases. That's not something I can do from here. But they were all apprehended.
She looks like the
reason why you're talking about the Texas National Guard, they were there because of the governor of Texas. The governor of Texas put
Comrade Commander
the Texas National Guard there. We didn't put them there. He put them there. What we need is actually
it was the National
we
Guard.
need to see resources. The Border Patrol agents
Texas National
deserve
Guard.
resources. They deserve to be able to do their jobs. And we're not getting that from Republicans. They're rejecting a bipartisan agreement that came out of the Senate.
And last one, there is a Venezuelan migrant with 500,000 followers on TikTok who is telling border crossers they can live in empty houses in this country.
Oh, yeah,
President
that's
Biden
another one,
support
too.
a law that would make that kind of squatting illegal.
I have not seen that TikTok video, so I can't comment on that. Go ahead, Akila. Over here.
Ha ha! Oh, look at her dodge the question. Oh, she's a dumb cunt.
Does the president have plans to speak to Hakeem Jeffries now that there has been a motion to vacate for Speaker Mike Johnson about whether Democrats will support him if that vote happens?
That's something for Democrats to speak to. We're not going to get involved. We do not get involved.
Wait, aren't you the Democrats? Isn't the president the head of the Democratic Party? Okay.
We've been pretty consistent, regardless if it's Republicans or Democrats. We've been pretty consistent in that. We trust Hakeem Jeffries' leadership. He's the leader of the Democrats. That is for them to decide on. I'm not going to comment on
Does
that.
Biden wake up for
Democrats
anything
were
other than
forced him
public
to bring a vote to the National Security Supplemental Bill. Would Biden?
I wouldn't call Joe Biden's performance him being awake.
And support their support of this.
Look, Democrats are going to make their decision. Democrats' leadership, Hakeem Jeffries is going to make their own decision on how to move forward. We're going to be consistent here on how important it is to move the National Security Supplemental. We've been very clear. It passed 70-29 out of the Senate overwhelmingly. We believe it would pass overwhelmingly in the House if it was put to the floor. And there's no time to wait here. There's no time to wait. We see what's going on in Ukraine.
I don't know what our excuse is.
And a lot of that is because of congressional inaction. We can't.
Yeah, I do know what the excuse is. The Democrats want illegal voters to come across the border because the only way that they can stay in power is by pandering to criminals. Does that make sense?
Continue to allow that to happen. Ukraine needs the funding, the security, obviously, to continue to defend themselves, and that's what we're going to continue to speak to.
Just a quick housekeeping matter. Will the president head to Wilmington regardless of whether the shutdown is going to be averted or not?
So you hear us say this all the time. This is still the case with this scenario that we're seeing, obviously, in Congress right now, is that the president is the president wherever he is, and he can do his business wherever he is. I just don't have a change in his schedule at this time.
Yes, the president is going on vacation, regardless of how this thing turns out. That's what she just said.
The Dow Jones Industrial Average has been closing in on 40,000 this week. It's down a little bit today, but does the president see that as an economic achievement, or does he view that, in his view, is the stock market not necessarily representative of the economy?
So while we've said many times here, you've heard that from our economists, you've heard that from me, the stock market is not the economy. We understand that. It is clear that President Biden's economic plan is working to grow the middle class. spur investments in manufacturing. You just heard me
forgot
talk
to say
about
from the
what we
bottom
saw
up
in
and the middle
Arizona,
out.
what the president was able to announce in Arizona, semiconductors from that came out of the Chips and Science Act, incredibly important bipartisan legislation, infrastructure, and outperform other countries. That's what we're trying to do here. So record stock market highs under President Biden are good for retirement accounts, obviously household wealth, which is why.
Get prepared for a record stock market crash. That's what I'm reading off of this, guys. We might have another 2008 coming. I don't know. It sounds like a setup question. My spider senses are tingling.
We would never root for a stock market crash or for Americans to lose their jobs. That's not what this president is about.
Could you, if there could potentially be a lapse in funding if they can't get this passed in the Senate by tonight. Can you speak to what the planning has been like for White House operations here? Like who would be deemed essential? Can people work over the weekend? That kind of thing.
So look, Congress can prevent this partial shutdown. We believe there's still time to do that. So I want to be very clear here. But like every other agency, we are reviewing and updating our contingency plan. This is something that we do regularly, and we'll have more to share, obviously, once that is finalized. But federal employees just across the government will furlough, and that includes White House staff, just to give you a little bit of what that would look like. But we believe there is still time. There's still time for Congress to prevent a partial shutdown. This doesn't have to be. This doesn't have.
It will be, though. It's going to take, as we read in the beginning of the show, it's going to take 100 votes in the Senate. And I promise you, Rand Paul will not vote for that shit. Rand Paul votes no on everything, guys, on everything. Let's go.
Have to be. And obviously, we're always, like every agency, we look at all options.
If I could ask one question related to the royals. When King Charles had been diagnosed with cancer, President Biden had said that he had hoped to speak with him. Did they ever connect?
So I don't have a call to read out.
Yeah, guys, the Queen died of cancer, the King has cancer, and now the Princess of Wales has cancer. If you're just joining us, Joe Biden, Catherine, Prince of Wales, has cancer. Princess of Wales, I mean. She's beautiful. Guys, I'm sorry. I know you guys hate her, but she is very beautiful. Okay?
About with the president and the king and King Charles, I just don't have anything to share at this time.
The president will reach out to King Charles over the weekend about this?
Yeah, look, as I said before, obviously it is a tragic news. It is devastating news, and we certainly wish the Duchess of Cambridge a full recovery. We want to respect their privacy, especially at this time. They have young children, they have a family, so we want to respect their privacy.
I just like her because she's a gorgeous princess, right?
That's the only thing.
That's the only reason I like her better than the other one. Who's the other one? Meghan Markle. I don't like her. I like this one, and I'm sad that she has cancer. I mean, she's an evil lizard person, yes. She's an inbred fucking authoritarian, yes. Yes, all those things. But she's also a beautiful princess, and as a video game nerd, right? My instinct is to save the princess, okay?
Out.
All right.
Just are learning this news literally as I walked out. With this news came to be, and so it is incredibly devastating to hear, and we wish her again a full recovery. Okay, Karen.
It was just over a week ago that the White House announced the new weapons package for Ukraine, and Jake Sullivan had said at the time it could move very quickly to get there. Do you have an update on whether that assistance has reached Ukraine and reached the battlefield yet?
So, as you know, it was important to be able to have that extra additional funding to give the additional assistance. Ukraine obviously needs that. They have been losing ground in the battlefield. So obviously, Jay came here and gave a lowdown, a lay down of how important that is. I don't have any specifics on where we are on getting that funding, not getting that funding, getting the assistance to the Ukrainians. I would refer you to the Department of Defense, but it was important, it's critical to do everything that we can to make sure Ukraine has what it needs to defend itself. But that is not enough. You also heard Jake Sullivan say that from here. That is not enough. We have to move forward and get the national security supplemental. It has to get out of the House. We know it got out of the Senate.
We've been going for...
Thanks,
1 hour
Karine.
and
The House
45
Republican
minutes,
majority
Mr.
will
President.
narrow even further next month. Mike Gallagher announced that he's stepping down from Congress on April the 19th. Does that present an opportunity for the White House to try to pass that national security supplemental, given the fact that the numbers, the dynamics may be changing?
Look, I mean, we don't even need the dynamics to change, right, in the House to get this done. We really don't. If the Speaker were to put it on the floor, would have put it on the floor weeks ago, today, it would pass overwhelmingly. We know that to be true because we've heard from Republicans, you know where Democrats stand. We know that. And so we don't need the dynamics of the House to change. We just need the Speaker to do his job and put forth on the floor something that we know, the National Security Supplemental, a bill that we know would pass overwhelmingly. That's what he needs to do. We need it. We need it for our
Uzi
own
says
national
his mom
security.
has cancer
It
and
is
was
important
jabbed.
to get
Aw.
this done on behalf of the
I'm
American
sorry to
people.
hear that, brother.
All right, everybody, have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.
bitch.
Thanks, everyone.
I hope G.I. Joe finally finds your base. Yeah, I saw that. Are you talking as blind dude or are you talking as Joe Biden? Yeah, I see you've been reposting John Talks. You've just been reposting his videos. That's cool. Make more videos about mining gold. I'd be interested in watching you mine and refine gold. That would be badass. My mom's hubby had a vaccine and he had to get his kidney removed. Oh. Dang. That sucks. Yeah, I haven't heard very many good things about those vaccines. I've heard a lot of bad things. Now, let's go ahead and read about this. Catherine, Princess of Wales, has cancer. The princess described the news as a huge shock and asked for time, space, and privacy in a pre-recorded video broadcast on BBC on Friday evening in Britain. Let's watch it. Aww. Oh, she's so pretty. Aww. Why can't I hear it?
My condition was non-cancerous. And in January, I underwent major abdominal surgery in London, and at the time, it was thought that my condition was non-cancerous. The surgery was successful. However, tests after the operation found cancer had been present. My medical team therefore advised that I should undergo a course of preventative chemotherapy, and I'm now in the early stages of that treatment.
I'm not an expert on British accents, but it's her accent sounds fake, right? I'm not an expert, but it sounds like she sounds like a London football punk trying to sound like a royal to me. I don't know anything about it.
This, of course, came as a huge shock. And William and I have been doing everything we can to process and manage this privately for the sake of our young family.
Uh-oh.
As you can
Uh-oh.
imagine, this is
we lower the quality on this? No? Okay, just let it buffer for a second. Let's rewind it just a little bit because I don't know. It was kind of glitchy.
Manage this privately for the sake of our young family. As you can imagine, this has taken time. It has taken me time to recover from major surgery in order to start my treatment. But most importantly, it has taken us time to explain everything to George, Charlotte, and Louis in a way that's appropriate for them and to reassure them that I'm going to be okay. As I've said to them, I am well and getting...
I don't think AI can act that badly. No, this is definitely her. I feel like this is for real, guys. I'm sorry.
Stronger every day by focusing on the things that will help me heal in my mind, body, and spirits. Having William by my side is a great source of comfort and reassurance too, as is the love, support, and kindness that has been shown by so many of you. It means so much to us both. We hope that you'll understand that as a family, we now need some time, space, and privacy while I complete my treatment.
I wish her the best of luck. I wish her the best of luck. So there you have it. Some people are calling it AI.
The bulk of the bullying and abuse that I
Oh, shut up. No one cares.
was experiencing
Meghan, the
in
Duchess
social
of
media and
Sussex.
online was when
Meghan, the Duchess of bullshit, more like it. All right. Here's the latest. Her diagnosis follows that of King Charles III, who announced his own cancer diagnosis and treatment in early February. It comes after a period of intense uncertainty about the health of Catherine, also known as Princess Kate, who underwent abdominal surgery in January and largely disappeared from public view. Like the king, Catherine, 42. Wow, she's 42? Oh, man, that makes her even hotter. Did not specify what kind of cancer she has, but asked the public and news media to respect her desire for privacy. I'm talking like a Brit. No, we hope that you will understand that as a family, we now need some time, space, and privacy while I complete my treatment, she said. Catherine, who is the wife of Prince William and future queen. This is, of course, came as a huge shock, Catherine said, and William and I have been doing everything we can to process and manage this privately. Catherine's announcement is a grim coda to a period of increasingly wild rumors about her health and well-being, but it plunges the British royal family into a period of even deeper uncertainty, with both the 75-year-old monarch and his daughter-in-law, the wife of his eldest son, and heir to and the mother of Prince George, the second in line to the throne, facing grave health problems. In her statement, Catherine said at the time her surgery was performed, doctors believed that her condition was non-cancerous. The surgery was successful, she said, but in further tests, the doctor found evidence of cancer. They recommended a course of chemotherapy, which she said she had recently begun. It has taken me time to recover from major surgery in order to start my treatment, Catherine said in the video. But most importantly, it has taken time to explain everything to George, Charlotte, and Louis in a way that is appropriate for them and to reassure them that I'm going to be okay. And we all hope that she is okay, right? Nobody likes to hear about a beautiful princess dying, right? Even if she is an evil lizard person. Oh, fix my microphone? Okay, is that better? Sorry about that. Is that better? Guys, is that better? My microphone sounds fishy. I don't know. Oh, no. You're saying Catherine's story sounds fishy. Okay. Is the microphone better? Let's see here. That means it's spread and it's really not good. That's what it sounds like to me. That's what it sounds like to me, is that the cancer is getting worse, right? Like, they were hoping it was non-cancerous, but it is. We don't know what it is. It could be in her stomach, in her digestive system. It could be in her bones. We don't know. We don't know. There's no use speculating. Anything we say is probably wrong, right? All we know is that the princess has cancer, okay? And it's sad because she's beautiful. Okay, Gino is saying they go in to take out a mass and then see a mass spread to a different organ. Well, that's scary. That would be like stage, 3 cancer where it spreads? Time for oxys. Yeah, me too. When they diagnose me as terminal, I'm going to become a heroin junkie. Might as well. Right? I'm going to go out on my own terms. No, it said that she didn't specify what kind of cancer it was. Stage 4, stage 5. No, they're saying what stage it is. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a cancer expert. The only time I ever looked up anything about cancer is when my wife found a lump in her breast. That stupid fucking bitch. I was worried. I was so worried about it too. Because I'm a loving person and I'm a caring husband. And I was a good husband. I took care of her kids like they were my own. Ovarian cancer, that would be terrible. Well, hopefully being the princess of Wales is enough clout that she gets to live. Meth for daytime and heroin to sleep. Hell yeah. Fuck sleep. If I'm dying, I'm fucking tweaking out. I want to experience every microsecond of life. Yeah, if I'm terminal, I want to experience all of the life, all of it. I want it all. Yeah, so I'm going to go on a drug binge like the world has never seen and go out on my own terms. Overdose. Whatever it takes, Felix, whatever it takes. All right, guys. Marching powder. Indeed. And march on in the face of death. I don't know. It's pretty hard to get good cocaine. I would probably just get shitty meth instead because it's cheaper and it's easier to acquire. Like getting real cocaine is like almost impossible. So I don't want any of that cut shit. It doesn't do the like pure cocaine will give me goosebumps. Nothing else will. Those were the days. Those were the days back in the 90s, the late 90s. $30 grams of fish scale. But what can you do now? What can you do now except for bitch and complain? Thanks, Joe Biden. I almost want a Bush back in charge of the country so we can get cheap cocaine again. Right? Right? It's almost worth having George Bush whatever in charge just to get the good coke again. Yeah, we have pot stores. Well, they haven't opened up yet, but we will have pot stores here in Ohio. It'll be awesome. It's almost, I said almost worth another George Bush presidency. Almost. Almost. Good cocaine is not actually worth it. But it would definitely soften the blow. I'll tell you that. Soften, get it? Soft. Oh, I'm so terrible. I'm so terrible, guys. Oh, Donna just messaged me. She called me an unforgiving dick. Yeah, at least I'm not a prostitute. Okay. Enough making fun of my ex-wife. All right. Oh, man. And I am forgiving. I've offered to forgive her, but she won't fucking come clean, so fuck her. Pot stores are fun. They are so nice there. You get a personal sales guys, then have free doobies on Tuesdays. Yeah, apparently she does. Apparently she was in here earlier. We had to kick her out. We had to kick her out because she's such a terrible person. No, be snooty. Treat her like a fucking treat her like the whore that she is. She likes it. She definitely wants you to. I'll tell you that. Don't treat her like a fucking prince, like she was a fucking beautiful British princess of Wales. I'll tell you that. That'll get you nowhere with her. Why is she spying on me? Well, to be honest, I don't know. I'm assuming it's because I'm awesome, and she regrets everything she did to me and wishes she could have me back. Oh, my Twitter account's been locked. That's great. Authenticate my account. Huh. Okay, my Twitter account's been unlocked. Okay, great. Yeah, okay, great. All right, there we go. I don't want to do a bunch of meth unless I'm dying, right? Nothing good comes out of that. Well, a little bit of meth, a little bit. You do a little bit of speed, you can get a lot of things done during the day, right? Just a little tiny bit, right? But yeah, no, I'm all good. I'm all good on meth. I don't want any meth. Yes, follow me on Twitter. Here, I'll give you a link. Profile. Here we go. Links to my Twitter account. I mean X or whatever. All right, there you go. Great. So I will be back tonight. I have more news to cover, and I've been working on a video. I've been working on putting together a bunch of awesome channels that you guys should be watching, right? So I'm going to show you guys some of my favorite channels, and we got more news to cover. Don't forget that this channel gets heavily censored and demonetized, and YouTube just hates me. So please consider supporting the channel. I dropped some links in the chat there, and they're also in the description if that's something you want to do. My Patreon is right here also, if that's what you want to do. Yeah, I got a lot of great channels. We're going to be running the gambit. Yeah. And I got like some of the news I have to talk about is more like gossipy tabloid stuff. You know what I mean? It's not really huge news. We've gone over most of that already. But now I get to tweet my own horn because I told you guys that princess shit, that it was definitely, not a big conspiracy, that she was, not my exact words were, she had surgery and something went wrong, right? And I was right. She had cancer. So, toot my own horn. Hey, no problem, Felix. It's what I do, brother. It's what I do. All right, guys. Well, that's been it. I'll see you later tonight. It'll probably be much later, like 10 p.m. or later even. All right. Remember, guys, we go live whenever the fuck I want. And there's nothing you can do about it. But if you're not subscribed, better make sure you are. Or even if you are subscribed, you better check to make sure you still are. Because they will unsubscribe you. Because they fucking hate me. They fucking hate me. That's why I depend on your support, guys. Thank you so much. And I will see you tonight.